Hi folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. How ready are you to react in a moment's notice, or in a very, very short notice at least, to some type of, World War III invasion, violence, attack, immediate, breakdown, all of these possibilities? How quickly can you react to that? That's something that I think that most of us, because we live in America, at least most people, maybe not us, but most people, don't give a lot of thought. We live in this, with this idea that we are so safe and secure and insulated from all of the bad things that happen in the world, that those kind of stuff, it's not going to happen that quick here. That if things ever were to break down, we would have plenty of warning to get ourselves ready. And I'm here to tell you that may not be the case. We should be aware of how things are shifting and changing in this country, and in a really rapid state, and that the possibility of things kind of falling apart, of there being some type of external foreign attack, or folks that are in this country already attacking, whether it be terrorist attack to infrastructure or just mass violence to civilians. All of these things and more could happen, and could happen very rapidly. And I think most of us, while we think about it, I wonder sometimes how many of us are really preparing for it. And that's the thing. We've got to be able to react very quickly. Each one of us need to be at least planning, and have a plan, and do a little training when it comes to kind of that Minuteman response, or that quick reaction response, because things could turn around pretty quickly for us. Just to throw some stuff at you, did you know that since Biden has taken office, there's been about 12, and this is official number. This is the official number, okay? So I understand that the real number is probably very different. The official number is that there's been about 12.5 million illegals cross the border and come into this country since Biden's taken office. That's more than the previous 3 terms combined. A lot of these that's coming across the border now, they are they're not really into being American. There's a lot of people from third world countries, a lot of people that their cultures are so vastly different than ours, and many of them are coming here with kind of very wrong, evil intents. And so we have to be aware of that. We also have to consider that many of the people coming across the border could be here as foreign nationals to purposely, maybe they're trained militarily, that they're purposely coming here to do things to harm us. Looking at what happened in Israel 3 months ago, Israel was considered probably one of the most prepared nations on this planet to outside attack. I've heard since October 7th, I've heard several people in the news media, people that are former generals and stuff like that have worked in and around Israel, say something similar to the fact that Israel may have been the most defensible nation on the planet. They had some of the best defenses, the best preparations, and yet it all failed. Now, before you jump on the comment section, I understand that there's a very likely chance that was all purposeful. But even looking at the civilian aspect, the civilian population of Israel was supposed to be prepared. Virtually everyone in Israel, at least most of them, they serve in some form or fashion in the IDF at some point in their life. They own firearms, even though they're not allowed to keep them at home typically. They have safe rooms. They have all this preparations, and yet many people perished that day due to being unprepared. And it was because it happened very quickly. Most crimes, violent crimes, they happen so quickly. That's one of the things in law enforcement, is that criminals, they look for the best opportunity. They're opportunists. It's not so much like you see in the movies, where there's this long planning ahead of time to figure out how to commit the crime. Typically, most crimes are committed in the moment, in the heat of the moment, because they see the opportunity. This is also going to be the case, very likely, with dealing with some type of terrorist attack or breakdown or just violent outbreak in this country. And we have to be prepared for that. We have to mentally be prepared for that. I've talked quite a bit recently about keeping your head on a swivel, meaning, having a good perspective of what's going on around you. This being acutely aware of just people and how things are moving, and the suspicions and things that are out of place wherever you go. That's a big part of it. Also, just being mentally prepared to react very quickly, because again, if we started to see something like what had happened in Israel here in this country, where very potentially people that's come across the border decide to rise up and do something, or some type of foreign invasion of some sort, even to the extreme of extent of a Red Dawn invasion, which is exactly what Israel saw on October 7th, was very much a Red Dawn moment. How prepared are you? Now, sitting at home, you might say, oh, I'm really prepared here, but you're not always going to be at home, right? In fact, Murphy's Law says that you're probably going to be somewhere else where you're the least prepared when something like that happens. So there's a few things to kind of cover. Number one, you should always have some kind of EDC. EDC means you need to have a personal carry weapon on you at all times. It needs to have at least enough ammunition to get you out of that situation or to get you to some place where you're more safe. That's the whole point of an EDC, really. Yes, to fend off from immediate threats and to get you out of that situation. So you need to be carrying, whatever pistol that you're choosing to carry, that you're confident and adequate with. You need to have at least 2 to 3 magazines with you at all times. You need to have things like a flashlight, a small little IFAK, at least some kind of blowout kit, a tourniquet, chest seal, some type of compression bandage, something that's just a quick fix to get you out, to keep you alive long enough to get you to something better. You need to be able to survive. I mean, this is a good rule of thumb with your EDC, with what you're carrying on your body. And I'll be honest with you, I fail at this often because I live in a rural area. I'm typically not that far from home on most occasions, so I slack on this, and I have to constantly remind myself that I need to do what I preach, I guess. But you need to be able to survive 2 to 3 days with what you're carrying on your person. And that's saying a lot. Now, in 2 to 3 days, you're not really going to be needing to eat anything. Drinking water is going to be important. So, do you have some way to drink water or to purify water? Your EDC can also be your vehicle. As you know, I've been working on this vehicle. It's still very much a work in progress. I've been showing it more often over on Locals if you're interested in watching over there. But do you have enough stuff on your vehicle to last 3 to 6 days, 3 to 7 days, something around a week? I was watching a video not that long ago, and it was not any kind of a prepping video. It was this YouTube channel that does vehicle recoveries. They go out into the woods and in the wintertime and places where people are off-roading, and they get stuck and they pull them out. And they found this truck that had been stuck for 6 days, and there was some women in it. And they had no way of getting out. They had no way of calling. Thankfully, someone just came across it. And they were literally stuck in the deep snow and mud for 6 days, riding it out inside that vehicle. Now, thankfully, they were okay, and they had a few provisions in their vehicle, so it kept them alive, some, water and blankets and things like that. But what if you're away from your home and things fall apart, and maybe it takes you a little while to get home? Hopefully, you can still drive your vehicle, but just because you can drive it doesn't mean you can drive it straight home. There may be all types of violence and roadblocks and things that might keep you from getting home quickly. Do you have things in your vehicle, bottled water, blankets, first aid kit, some food, ammunition, things like that, medical stuff in your vehicle to kind of get you home? It's important to be thinking about that. You don't have to go and get some big, thing like this and have it all bugged out. Just a little tub or box or bag in the back of your trunk of your car or behind the seat of your truck can sometimes be the thing that keeps you alive. And so having something like that at home, You need to have at least 60 to 90 days minimum. And I mean, that is like barely making the mark to ride things out in your home. Now, I'm not saying that all your prep should only be 60 to 90 days. I'm saying that at least enough stuff to kind of reside in your home in a closed off, locked in kind of place. 60 to 90 days to do that. And so that's something that I would definitely be encouraging you folks to do. Thinking along the lines of what has happened between Israel, the violence that we're seeing pop up in the United States and in Europe, the amount of illegals pouring across the border, the amount of kind of breakdown because of that kind of stuff, we have to take these things seriously. We have to realize that the very real likelihood that something like this could happen. I mean, it's very possible that things could fall apart to where you're at least in a temporary situation, kind of living completely on your own, and there's no help that's going to arrive. This is something that most people, they're just not thinking about that. They're used to 911 always being there. They're used to the grocery store always being there. They're used to the ambulance and the fire trucks and all that kind of stuff. What happens when that goes away, even if it's just for a temporary time period? That's where we need to be prepared. And going into 2024 with all the possibilities that could happen this year, and seeing the amount of influx of illegals pouring across the country, throughout the country, and we're seeing all of the other things that's just the breakdown everywhere, that's starting to show, the cracks that you're starting to see in the wall. I'm telling you, it would be foolish to not be prepared and to be able to quickly react to a threat and to kind of take care of yourself for a while, because that is very much a likelihood in the next coming year. So how ready are you, folks? How ready are you with what you carry on your person? You know, what you're carrying in your purse or in a backpack or on your belt or in your pockets? What about your vehicle? What's in your vehicle right now? If you had to survive out of your vehicle, it's cold, it's the winter time for most of you. If you were stranded in your vehicle, could you survive out of that vehicle for a week? Could you make it last? Could you live in it if you had to? If you had to leave because of, some situation, could you gather the things that you need very quickly and leave if you were being overrun by some type of threat, whether natural or man-made? Could you do that very quickly? If you had to lock yourself into your home and not leave for multiple days, maybe weeks at a time, could you do that? Do you have the things right now? If something happened in this moment, and it's so quick of time that you really don't have time to prepare. You only have time to use what you already have. Are you ready? If the answer is no, I strongly suggest you work very strong and hard on this and get it wrapped up quickly, because the very real possibility that these types of situations could happen to at least some people in this country, I think, are becoming pretty real. So folks, you need to be doing this, working on it, trying to figure out a plan of how to get your person, your vehicle, your home, your family ready to react in a moment's notice if things kind of start to fall apart. And there's so many possibilities that could happen that could cause things to fall apart quickly. And so many of those possibilities are becoming more and more likelihoods. So the odds of this happening are probably greater now than they've ever been before in your life. And so don't sit around and just think about what you should be doing. Actually take action and do something about it. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.